Gotta plump them up, get them pointy. Oh, I gotta sit up so you can see my Bang Bang Bar t-shirt.
Hey Gabe, what's up?
What's happening, Ian? And what's happening, Twin Peaks party people? Welcome to the latest episode of Blank as a Fart. My name's Gabe. That's my friend Ian over there. We are watching Twin Peaks. We're all the way into the return now, about a third of the way, actually exactly a third of the way through. We are covering part 6 tonight. I know Ian really disliked part 5 very strongly. Expressed that in eloquent terms.
The most eloquent.
Was this an improvement?
The most-
I felt like this was an improvement.
The most eloquent. I don't. I mean, this.
Long pause. Okay.
Yeah, here's what we're gonna say. I'm gonna try my very hardest to stop being negative about the show. Just point out things that I notice and like, or think are weird. But like, this episode was fine.
I feel like a lot of the criticisms you're going to have of each episode are going to be largely the same. They're going to relate to pacing and relevance and a lot of the stuff that we've already
right. So I figured I would
kind of harped on.
I didn't really keep harping on it. So yeah.
I mean, it's worth pointing out every now and again because there are definitely scenes where I'm going to point it out because there were scenes where I felt like it was excessive too.
I think what dawned on me this time was like,
and I don't want to like feel like I'm trying to muzzle you or anything.
Oh, that's fine. I think I think this time around I took in the fact that I really enjoyed that, David Lynch was trying to remake Rain Man into Twin Peaks. Like for those pretentious people that never saw the Hollywood Oscar bait film Rain Man, you could enjoy it in this film. For some
Oscar
reason,
bait, Oscar winning.
Well, but it's
still winning.
It's still Oscar bait.
Yeah, yeah. Still simple Jack in the end, right?
I mean, you got Vegas, you got gambling, you got like giant size clothes that don't fit properly from Kmart. Probably, I don't know. There's just like all these like connections I started. I mean, obviously with how Dougie or Cooper is acting is kind of Rain Man like. It's just funny. I just like as I was sitting here watching these scenes unfold, it's like, oh, this is like Rain Man. Anyway,
there is the argument that could be made that like, I don't think there's such a thing as sudden onset autism, but I think probably Kyle MacLachlan looked to autistic people as his inspiration for his performance as Dougie, where there's neurons firing in there. They're just not firing in a way that they can relate to the world around them. And I really feel like you see a lot of that, and you'll, spoiler alert, you'll see more of it as we go on. But you can see those pieces of Cooper in his eyes, just like, and specifically in the eyes. You see them here and there making their way through whatever shell, like, Mr. C has trapped him in at this point.
Right.
So, yeah.
But this episode did not offend me like the last episode did.
I feel like we got more to chew on here. I feel like we got some answers or some connections. There is some weird shit, and there are some weird music cues for sure.
For sure. Yes. Okay.
Like the.
Yeah. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. But quick announcement, some housekeeping related stuff. Gabe here fucked up and did not lock down that email account properly. That one that we've been touting for a year? Exactly 1 year now? I can't get into it. So if any of you viewers/listeners have sent an email to blankasafartpod@gmail.com since March 2nd of 2024, it's unfortunately never going to be read. So next week, we will give you a new email to start sending stuff to. Ian and I brainstormed a couple of ideas pre-show. We'll finalize post-show, and we'll get back to you. I am very, very sorry. This is 100% on me, folks. I fucked it up. I take 100% responsibility.
No one wrote in, or you didn't fuck up at all because
that's also a possibility. You know, it's Schrodinger's email at this point. If we never opened the box, was there an email in it to begin with?
I have to say one other thing that I for the show notes, I post your little like synopsis from Facebook into the show description. And today when I was on Facebook, for some reason it gave me a notification back to this old post on the Nine Inch Nails Facebook page that someone had liked it. And I went back to it, and then I was looking at it, and I didn't realize that I had. And the reason this is kind of fits this show is because I had tagged you in their on their post because Nine Inch Nails had announced their Discord page, and I had said, "Hey, Gabe, maybe now you'll join Discord and we can do that David Lynch podcast we've always been talking about." But I had not realized that Atticus Ross and Danny Lohner had both liked that post, that comment I made to you. I thought that was wild.
Wait, what?
They liked it. They just hit like. You know, they give like a thumbs up on the comment.
Right,
I just thought it was funny. I just like, that's weird. Anyway.
Oh, on the Discord comment?
No, on the Facebook comment. Just weird, random thing that I just didn't notice before that happened a long time ago. The
Facebook comment about Discord.
Yeah, isn't that wild? Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, neither here nor there.
And I never did that Nine Inch Nails Discord.
Tangentially, you know,
but
kind of.
I did pay a lot of money to see that show in August, so
there you go.
But goddamn, am I looking forward to it?
I'm just, it's you know, kind of connected in a weird way. Anyway, Nine Inch Nails and Lynch.
It's all connected,
Lynch
folks.
And Discord, and our Blank as a Thought podcast is on. Anyway, we do a lot of. It's all kind of.
And Nine Inch Nails in episode 8, 2 weeks from now.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Sweet.
It's a bit of a loop.
Spoiler. I didn't know that.
Well,
I
told you already that they were in episode 8.
Well, I knew they were in an episode. I don't remember what episode number it was. Anyway, it's fine.
No, yeah, we've discussed how. Yeah,
I'm sure.
I don't think. Yeah, but regardless, yeah, we're. I'm no spring chicken, my friend. By no means. All right, let's get into the recap. So we're going to pick up right from last week's end credits. Dougie is still parked in front of the cowboy statue, but now he's obsessively fiddling with his left sleeve. That same security guard approaches him, saying he tried to chase him away a half hour ago. Eventually, Dougie is able to convey the same information that got him home last time. Dougie Jones, Lancelot Court, Red Door. This is kind of obvious, you know. Dougie's the hero, Lancelot's the hero, the Red Door is the path. Yeah, so that symbology is hammer over the head, for sure.
And then his obsession with the badge is interesting.
Oh, yeah. No, that's, again, you saw it in the eyes when he reached for it. It's kind of like, oh, this is part of my identity here. The guard and his partner are kind enough to take Dougie home, where the guard brings up Dougie's disoriented state and his affinity for his badge to Janey-E. Before the dear wife can close the door, the guard also hands her a plain manila envelope that he found sitting on the front stoop. Over a couple of special housewife sandwiches. She seems to be good at those, huh?
She's a good cook. Always making him
She's a good cook, yeah. She's always in the kitchen. She's a Donna Reed type with like a Tarantino edge almost. Which we'll see a little later on.
I want to make a comment on the envelope outside the door. I just,
Okay.
I'm just setting this up for future. It's very it's a symbolic thing that happens a lot in David Lynch stuff.
Yeah, it's not the first and not the last time we'll see something like that. Yeah, calling back to season 1 where Audrey slipped the envelope under Agent Cooper's door.
Well, I'm not even saying with this franchise. I'm saying
Oh, another.
yeah. And the way they handle it kind of in this next scene, kind of similar. It's kind of funny. Anyway.
Yeah, the where it happens later on.
So
Yeah.
this is how they she kind of plays it off. Anyway.
Yeah. So Janey-E, oof, that's tough to say. I think that's intentional. Vows to take Dougie to visit the doctor the next day before sending him upstairs to say goodnight to Sonny Jim. Dougie, bag of kettle chips still in hand, Miss Vicky's, if I saw the label correctly, eventually finds his way to the kid's room, where his son wordlessly encourages him to have a seat on the bed. Dougie is kind enough to offer Sonny Jim a chip, but I think this is the first time he speaks out loud, isn't it? Sonny Jim tells us he's already brushed his teeth and can't eat it. Has he actually had a line before now?
I don't think so, actually. I think you might be right. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. It was the first time I remember it, so.
Because he doesn't say anything at the breakfast table.
No, and like when they go out to the car, he's just got that morose look on his face. Yeah. Anyway, Dougie obligingly sets the chip down on top of Sonny Jim's blanket. The boys engage in a little game of combat clapper, turning Sonny Jim's cowboy lamp on and off. Worth noting that Sonny Jim's entire room is cowboy decor. Before Janey-E angrily calls Dougie back downstairs after having opened the envelope. Bum, bum, bum. Inside, she's found a picture of Dougie with a woman whom he's all too happy to identify as Jade. An item of blackmail from whatever unsavory characters Dougie owes money to. Janey-E's increasing fury is interrupted by the telephone. Sure enough, it's those same unsavory characters. She does all the talking, as Dougie is obviously incapable of doing so. She sets up a meeting with them in the park at the corner of Guinevere and Merlin for 12:30 tomorrow. I fucking laughed out loud when she said that.
12:30?
That it was just like, yeah, because it was just like anger, 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 soccer mom. And then hang up. So still angry with Dougie, Janey-E sets him to work on his case files. But before she heads upstairs to say goodnight to Sonny Jim, she draws a shaky breath and kisses Dougie on the forehead, a gesture which lights up his eyes. So I'll give you a second chance here to say awesome things about Naomi Watts and her performance so far.
Awesome.
Actually, we'll get a lot more opportunity for that later, won't we? So should we save that for a later scene, or?
I think she's fine. I don't know if she's awesome.
I mean, she sticks out for sure. She brings there's an energy to her character that isn't present in a lot of the other characters that we see. I don't want to necessarily say that it's manic, but it's maybe more aggressive. We don't see a lot of characters who speak as quickly as she does, aside from maybe Doris Truman. But again, that's another housewife character. So is this another fucking misogynist Lynch commentary, or?
I mean, she's like a stay-at-home mom basically, and she makes sandwiches, and so I don't know, maybe.
Well, but she's not.
I know.
She runs the household.
Yeah.
And you can tell that was the case even before Cooper took over Dougie's body here. Because as we know, previous Dougie was a gambling addict, visited sex workers on the regular. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but doing it within a marriage without consent of his wife.
It's not like it's a terribly huge stretch for her, though. This type of character.
Yeah, no.
It's just, I
Well,
mean,
okay, fair.
it's like, I mean, I think actually she's like kind of maybe chewing scene a little bit, She could probably
Fair.
downplay it a bit, but I mean, I don't think, I just think it's.
But this is Twin Peaks, and
Sure.
nobody downplays it in Twin Peaks.
Well, some do, but.
Some do.
But anyway, yeah, she's fine.
Not this week. I don't think anybody downplays it this week.
Try to think about.
We'll revisit that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, it doesn't matter really, but.
Yeah. Let's see. As Dougie reaches for his case files, we cut to a familiar shot of a traffic signal hanging loose in a dark night. Once the light turns to red, we hear that familiar hum, crackle of electricity. That's become so. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Missed some editing there, folks. We don't want to use the word familiar that close together. Then we slowly fade into the red room where the one-armed man is wandering around the bare floor, his hand outstretched into the air as if reaching for something. Suddenly, as Dougie looks toward his fireplace, which is electric, if I'm not mistaken, the veil drops again, and he is able to see through to Philip waving his arm, excuse me. Philip tells him, quote, "You have to wake up and don't die," repeating the latter phrase like a mantra before he fades out of view.
Good advice.
Good advice. Everybody take that advice.
I think my only complaint here is, and still with this, is that I don't understand why they do this kind of weird effect, just to kind of like dissolve it partially into like random. Like they couldn't find a more creative way to do this. I don't know, but
I don't know.
Whatever.
It's like I think it's supposed to be the perspective of the character seeing it, and I think that's like the best way their brain can interpret what they're seeing. That's my take on it.
I think it's lazy.
But I think it's subtle.
That's not subtle. No.
Well,
but
I don't know. It's for It's a
choice. It's a choice.
It's hard to describe. It's a choice.
It's a choice.
Aesthetically, yeah. I don't know that there's another way to do it. Like what?
I mean, it could
something you can barely see.
It could be in the shadow of the television, or it could be in like a reflection of a mirror, or it could be, I don't know. It just seems like, oh, let's just have it.
Well, the mirror wouldn't tie to the electricity, though. The electricity is the necessity of it.
I mean, sure, but I mean, it's coming through.
And honestly, like, I'm surprised we didn't see.
Gabe. It's coming through the floor. Basically, I
saw it as coming through the fireplace.
Well, it's all over the carpet.
I saw the fireplace as the conduit. Yeah, it's
a whole. It's like the whole
scene. I
expected
to see something red. I definitely expected to see something red. I didn't spend a lot of time looking for it, but I don't recall seeing any red balloons in this episode.
Oh, I didn't even think to look for that again.
So maybe that's a motif that's unique to. Yeah, a little off track here. Back to Dougie turning his attention to the case files, where he sees a glowing white dot highlighting a single line of the form immediately after his connection with Philip. He picks up a pencil with a slightly childish grip, and scribbles a dot exactly where he saw the light. Opening up the other files, the process repeats as he sees some stationary dots and some moving ones, allowing him to draw connections between certain information on the forms. Dougie expands on his dots with lines and crude drawings of ladders and stairs. From our point of view, all we can really see that he's connecting on these documents is Anthony Sinclair's name. That comes up a lot, as well as a few occurrences of the names of detectives Loomis and Stockton. So I think it's pretty obvious now that there's some fairly direct intervention from outside forces guiding Dougie / Cooper along here. Or is that Cooper himself focusing Dougie's attention on the stuff he knows is relevant, like through the haze of this unfamiliar body?
Like I said, I think last week, I think I liked the idea of it being that it's Cooper's just innate goodness and his ability to weed out bad that is doing it. But when they add this effect to it, it makes you think something else is making him do it. So it's
right, especially after his connection with Philip, like I pointed out.
So it's very that's why I don't like the effects, because I prefer the idea that he's doing it. So, but I guess I'll find out, or I don't find out. I don't know, but I like the idea that it's Cooper versus another thing.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that's up for endless debate. And maybe it's a combination of the two, you know?
But I think if there wasn't those effects, I think you could it would be easier to say that it was probably just his innate ability to kind of it's something that he knows. Like ultimately it's
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Because in the casino we do get the vision.
Right, you get the vision
above.
Right.
But I mean, how would that relate to Cooper's abilities?
I don't know. It's like,
and let's
like
not forget
intuition or something. Like he just had because he's been reborn and like into this childlike state. He just has the innate ability to know when you're being scammed and when you're not being scammed. And like a jackpot is a scam. So like if somehow you knew that it wasn't a scam at this certain one at this moment, then maybe it is like ethereal, but it's still goodness at its purest state, you know.
Like that.
Anyway,
no, that's great.
But that, unfortunately, because of the little mystical stuff that appears, then it makes you second guess that, because then it's like, well, maybe he is being drawn to it by some other force. And anyway,
well, we've established long ago that Cooper's always had this connection to like the spiritual, and the spiritual on the side of good.
And one, the whole show is in that too. So it's not like it's
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cooper definitely has an innate goodness, and I think goodness brings other goodness into its orbit. So yeah, I mean, a lot of this is Cooper's innate goodness, but yeah, he's getting some help because a lot of what is going on is well beyond his capacity to deal with.
I guess what would make it more interesting for me at this point, because we're like, what, this is the 6th episode in? Is that if he started to become more aware and you would see that innate goodness slowly get watered down, then to the point where if he does come back to regular Cooper, because obviously Cooper has, as an adult and fully aware of things, you have to make certain changes to fight good. You can't just always be good. Like there's things and compromises you have to make in the world, you know? So like it'd be interesting to see that whole more of the progression of it from the innate good to like more of a, you know, compromise good. I don't know what you call it, but I don't know. Anyway, that's just me just like venting ideas.
Neutral good versus lawful good.
Sure. To use some D&D terms. Yeah.
In D&D terms. Exactly. Or even chaotic good, you know? We see plenty of that in this series too. Okay, here's a fun scene. Here's one I think you enjoyed. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's cut to... let me make sure I didn't skip anything. Nope, didn't skip anything. Cut to the interior of Albert's car as he's ending a phone call with Gordon, who is reminding him of the importance of the work he's doing tonight, which apparently has him visiting downtown D.C. in the pouring rain.
One of my favorite things is to go downtown in the pouring rain. I can relate, Albert. I can relate.
I've had fun doing that, but that's because I had already been drinking first.
Back in the day, yes. Nowadays, as an old man, nope.
Nowadays, as an old man, not so much fun. Exiting the vehicle, Albert gets perhaps his best line of the entire series, front and original and current. Fuck Gene Kelly, you motherfucker.
Okay, I have a question also about this. So, like, I didn't rewatch. I should have rewatched it. But, like, on Gordon's end, the girl that speaks about the wine, her voice sounds so kind of weird. Is that yay or nay? I don't know.
It just sounded like it had a little bit of an accent to me.
No, it sounded like it was not. Like they added it
weirdly. Or like it was, like it didn't, bad audio editing?
It didn't fit. It just sounded weird. I don't know.
Yes, it didn't sound like she was on the same end of the same phone. Right. Okay. Yeah, no. I got that too. That sounded like post-production happening for sure.
Some laziness there too. I was just like, yeah, weird.
Like it. No, yeah, it felt like that was added in post. No argument here. A pink neon sign on the wall announces the place he's entering as Max Vaughn's Bar. That's VON. The place is packed, and Albert slowly makes his way to the front, where he finds a woman with a short platinum bob seated at the mahogany bar with an empty martini glass and a lit cigarette. He greets her by name, Diane, and she gives a little shudder at the sound of his voice. As she turns to acknowledge him, we should be not surprised at all to see the face of Laura Dern.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, yeah.
We didn't get much after that.
This was a reveal you'd been waiting? No, obviously not. This was impactful enough on its own. So, this is a reveal you've been waiting for a long time.
Well, I knew it was coming because the thumbnail of Amazon, it shows her face on the thumbnail, so I knew she was in this episode.
Son of a bitch! So it fucking spoiled it from you from the top.
Yeah, but it didn't really bother it. I mean...
Well, seeing the thumbnail, you didn't know that she was Diane. You just know that Laura Dern was in this episode. Right. But, okay, so, when you knew of Diane, what did you picture her looking like?
Not that. Not like some smoky, like, femme fatale at a bar drinking martinis and smoking cigarettes.
Given what we know about Lynch, we probably should have thought that.
Something more like the lady in back at Twin Peaks police department. The lady manning the board there, but maybe with like a black suit and like some black rimmed glasses. Like that's kind of what I figured, or like Barbara Gordon or some shit. I don't know. More like along those lines, not this like she's out looking to get fucked or something. Like she's like on the prowl. This cougar lady. I don't know. That's not what I was thinking.
So watching it when I did. Growing up, like the two I always had in mind was she was somewhere between Lilith from Cheers and Miss DePesto from Moonlighting.
I don't know Moonlighting, but I can get Lilith. I see Lilith.
Yeah, just kind of like long skirt pantsuit or long skirt business suit. Like what do they call that combination?
It's weird, too, because it makes me feel like I thought she was like an assistant or something to him or some kind of like secretary or something. But it seems like she's more like his handler. Like she's like in underground seediness, and it's like it comes across more like she's like Cooper's handler. Like, he's, I don't know. It just seems like different.
We definitely understand that like secretary is not what Diane does.
Like she could almost be his boss for all I fucking know. I mean,
I get the feeling that she was. I almost gave big spoilers away there.
How many drinks do you?
So I'm going to stop right there. This is number 2.
Oh, okay, almost.
I had one before we went on there this morning. Oh shit!
Oh man, we might be able to leak some shit now. Just pressure. I'm just kidding.
Just pressure.
Just pressure.
I may have had other substances before.
Under pressure.
As usual. No. Mine has that extra thing. It's not the same.
I'm just trying to
think. Vanilla Ice reference, folks.
I'm trying to think like... Yeah. Anyway. I like...
Like you didn't have a visual image of her in your head?
I thought, not really. I mean, I did.
Glasses for sure.
Glasses for sure.
Glasses for
like
sure.
in the office. It was not this, but like it's fine. It makes sense. I should have thought like, it should be like some Isabella Rossellini chick just fucking dripping with sex and like drinking martinis and smoking cigarettes. That's what it totally should have been. Because where is that character in this show? It's not in this show. Like, where is it? It's like, it's not. Oh, well, that makes sense. That Diane is. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, I don't know that we see like a lot of mousy librarian types in the David Lynch work.
No.
At least not those that don't end up being victims of horrifically violent crimes. Or
I gotta say honestly though, I wasn't surprised.
I guess Maddie would be the closest we ever got to that in Twin Peaks lore.
Maybe.
Which was true, but
I wasn't surprised.
Again, victim of a violent crime
when that was the reveal. But it was just like, sure, why not? She obviously sounds like she listens to all his tapes and recordings. Like she clearly seems like that type of person, but maybe she is. But like, just seems like such a not that type of person that would even do that. All these things that he just talks about. Like she would. It just seems like she would be fed up with that and like not want to deal with that shit at all. So like, I'm curious where that goes. And anyway,
yeah, might be worth looking into. Oh, all right. Here's another fun scene. In a warehouse near a lumber yard, a couple of heavies with big-ass machine guns are leaning up against a fancy-looking car, while Richard Horn, the fucking prick, strikes a drug deal with the cool-looking guy that made eyes at Shelley in the very first episode of The Return. That's right. It's Balthazar Getty back. In the credits, they show his character's name as Red.
It's wild that this is Balthazar Getty. Do you have some kind of health issues or something? Like in Lost Highway, he was like this short, stocky dude, and he was kind of had more pronounced facial. Like he is like so kind of thin and gaunt in this show. It's just like, what's going on with him?
I wouldn't call him gaunt.
Oh, it's pretty thin. Like
I don't have a point of comparison to draw here.
In comparison to that,
this is really all I know.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, it's just wildly different. Yeah. It's just like, holy shit, man! I can't believe that's you.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, once we do Lost Highway, I guess I'll have to make the comment. But I guess, given the time frame, steroids. Who knows?
I mean, he wasn't that ripped, but I mean, he just
a lot of actors. A lot of actors in LA in the 90s were into steroids, dude. Action hero era. It was a thing. But anyway, steroids or not, Balthazar Getty is here. I kind of thought like he looked a lot like Henry Rollins in this episode, to be honest.
He does, like a really thin Henry Rollins.
He's got not even thin Henry Rollins.
Dude, like Henry Rollins is ripped, dude. He's a chunk.
He's ripped, but he's not like bulky. He's like a lean.
Well, Henry Rollins
ripped.
was. I mean, yeah. I mean, he's a thin. He's a thin.
I mean, I watch pro wrestling, so when I think like ripped,
he's a George Clooney statuesque gentleman. Is what I'm going to say. Very George Clooney.
George Clooney, fair enough. Like not muscly, but not.
No, but you can be built, but not like ripped.
Like Jeff Goldblum is thin, you know.
That's thin. Okay, yes, that's thin.
Cillian Murphy is thin.
Okay, I'm trying to think of a guy who's a little bit more built. Like Chris Evans is built, but not like. I mean, in Captain America, maybe not fair, but like in kind of normal Chris Evans, he's kind of built, but he's not like fucking ripped.
Right, like Knives Out Chris Evans.
Yeah, he's just a well put together dude, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Balthazar Getty is obviously a shorter guy. I mean, he's not tall. No, so for his height, he seems like relatively muscled to me. Like he seems healthy. Right. He doesn't seem thin to me.
No, it's fine.
But that's neither here nor there. I mean, this is aesthetics, and it oddly feels like body shaming. So let's veer away from this because nobody's body shaming here.
It's okay.
I think he looks great.
It's okay if we do it towards white men, Gabe. If we do it towards white men.
Okay. Well, I mean, personally, I think he looks great. You're the one thinking he looks like
No,
he
I
had
don't think
cancer
he
or
looks
whatever.
shitty. I just think he looks way different than I remember him. Like, that's all.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, you have like regular Chris
Let's
Bale, and then
leave
you
it at that.
have machinist Chris Bale. You know, it's like there's like a spectrum there.
Right? Not unhealthy at all. Anyway, punk ass Richard is impressed with the product and is barely capable of handling his sample of it, while Red intimidates him with a little bit of shadow karate and tough talk before trying to violently kickstart his own liver. Richard brags about the ineffectual local law enforcement and their 90-year-old sheriff, but Red isn't impressed. He likes the territory, but he's not sure if he can trust his contact, Richard. Red responds with laughs and threats of brain fucking when Richard bristles at being called kid. He then takes out a dime and flips it into the air, where it appears to suspend itself, spinning at about half speed, with the metallic ring still in our ears. Richard stares up at the coin and the ringing stops. He suddenly plucks it out of his own lower lip. The ringing resumes, and we see the coin fall back into Red's hand. As Richard looks back into his own fingers, the coin is no longer there. Richard is clearly intimidated as Red leaves him with an ominous quote, "Heads I win, tails you lose." So what do you make of that?
I don't know. I gotta be honest. Like, aside from my observations of Balthazar Getty, I was watching this, staring at it, and my brain literally just kind of shut off. Like, I was like, "What is happening? What is this?" I don't know, man. I have like, yeah, I was not interested in this plot line. I guess my brain was just like, "What?" So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Like, I don't know, but honestly,
I mean,
I don't know. I was kind of like, obviously he lost either way, and you know, as we go to the next scene, he's upset and frantic. So obviously it wasn't good. But I was just like, fuck if I know. I think this is just being weird and intimidating. But I was just kind of like, what is this about?
I mean, like I struggled to come up with a logical explanation for it, and really all I can say is that like Richard is just high as fuck, and he's hallucinating all of this. And Red can see that he's just high out of his gourd, and he's taking advantage of this kid's
I'm sure.
lack of grip on reality right now.
I'm sure he's just being intimidating. So, intimidation plus being high as fuck just has this.
Yeah,
because
like,
why do
like
I
how
don't
old
know.
do you peg Richard here? I'm putting him at like 19 or 20 would be my guess.
Well, he was in the bar smoking, so I and
oh
let
well,
kids
and
in the bar anymore. Apparently,
yeah.
So he's got to be at least 21.
You're right.
That's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, no, that's fair. He should be older than that. Yeah. Maybe even 24.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, Richard is now behind the wheel of his shitty truck, almost in tears from anger, frustration, and fear, and cocaine.
Nothing wrong with a little cocaine.
Couldn't tell you. Never done it.
I've only tasted it. I've never
on the side of the You've only tasted it? Were you like sampling evidence at a drug scene?
Kind
you playing Dexter over here?
It wasn't it was anyway. We don't
when I hear the
we don't have to go. I don't want to incriminate myself.
Fair enough.
I plead.
Like the image I get from tasting cocaine, like the only people I ever see who taste cocaine are cops.
Back in my crime fighting days.
Yeah, so
that's mixed with baby formula.
Ian isn't even your real name. You're fucking in witness protection, aren't you?
That's mixed with Abraxas or Abraxo or whatever the chemical is. Anyway. No. Anyway. Story for another time.
Yeah, another time when the cameras aren't rolling, right? On the side of the highway, we see a sign for the new Fat Truck Trailer Park. And yes, it's Harry Dean Stanton back as the manager, Carl. He's about to hop into the back of a van when a younger resident approaches him, asking if he can catch a ride into town with him. Another man takes the wheel as the two make their way to the back seat. On the road, they make small talk about Carl's daily habits and the younger man's wife, Linda, who we can gather is a disabled veteran that the government is trying to screw over financially. Some things never change. Carl offers the kid a smoke, but he turns it down since he quit a year ago. Carl brags about maintaining the habit for 75 years, which hits a little differently today, particularly after the deaths of both Stanton and Lynch.
Bum bum bum.
Lynch in particular.
I want to buy. It's funny we go to this. We talked about this last week about the romanticizing smoking, and I want to buy this T-shirt of Toshiro Mifune where he's smoking a cigarette, and it's fucking sick. But it makes me a hypocrite because anyway.
I mean, in the era we grew up in, it was a big symbol of cool,
Oh, I know.
Like, I think we discussed, maybe not on the air, but at some point, like how prevalent it was in Ghostbusters, which is just like, huge deal for men our age. Comedians in that era, a lot of it going around with the musicians too. I saw KMFDM in the mid-90s, and like 4 out of 5 members of the band came on with a lit cigarette in their hands.
And 5 of them were on heroin.
This
makes sense, dude.
Right? All part of the package,
part of
that
it.
rock and roll lifestyle. How about we go back to the Double R Diner?
Let's.
Where it turns out Shelley is not the only person with a 2-decade career there. Heidi, the giggly Scandinavian waitress, is an employee of Norma's as well, still an employee of Norma as well. She is giggling her life away as she chats with a regular, a young woman named Miriam, who grabs a couple of coffees to go after finishing her pie and leaves a generous tip with her check. After she exits, Shelley and Heidi remark that she can't afford to be leaving tips like that. They both vow to treat her the next time she's in. Here's a little bit of the goodness of some characters without Cooper around, or Cooper or Dougie, either or. We get plenty of those flashes of violence. So I think this is also a little slice of real life.
Goodness can still exist in the world.
I know, but we so rarely get it highlighted in a scene like this. And in cinema, I think like scenes like this would be the first to go because people don't see the point of them. But there is a point in this one.
Well, they're always in in cinema when they need to make a point. I think that's the important differentiator here. You don't just have everyone being nice for no reason, but like if it needs to be there, it's usually there.
Yeah.
But yes, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Twin Peaks in particular, sometimes it feels like we get too much of the victimization of the vulnerable and, the good people having bad times.
But don't worry, we have that too in this episode.
Yeah, there's plenty of that left. Don't worry. So it's nice to see it counterbalanced with some happy times with good people.
Yes.
But meanwhile, we get a little more of Richard's cocaine psychosis and frenzied driving.
Well, here we go.
Before we cut to a starkly contrasting shot of Carl sitting on a beaten-up park bench, enjoying a cigarette and a coffee. This shot I almost used as this week's promo shot because it's a pretty iconic one as far as the return goes. A lot of people associate this with, particularly with Harry Dean Stanton, just as a person.
It's interesting the correlation between David Lynch and my favorite independent film director, which I'm forgetting his name right now. But coffee and cigarettes are a huge.
Jarmusch.
Jarmusch, thank you. God damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's funny how that plays both of them in the same but very different ways, but they're both very.
I've never seen that film.
That's not that's a collection of short films, but like even away from that, in other films, it is prevalent.
Right. Yeah.
Coffee and the cigarette, it's a thing. Anyway,
can I take a quick tangent, real quick?
Sure.
Odd that Jim Jarmusch made me think of this, but George Lowe, who was the voice of Space Ghost in Space Ghost Coast to Coast, recently passed away. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to give a shout out to him. One of my favorite episodes was the director's episode that Jim Jarmusch appeared on. So
there you go.
Worth looking up on adultswim.com or YouTube. Yeah, if any of you watching or listening have never seen Space Ghost Coast to Coast, go check it out. Iconic alternative comedy out of the mid-90s to early 2000s. Really important stuff.
I just want to say that any tangents we were taking, they're all connected some way to what we were talking about. So we went from coffee and cigarettes from David Lynch to Jarmusch to Space Ghost. All connected.
Yeah.
So it's totally fun.
Yeah. 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon here, man. As long as we bring it back,
Right.
This episode is just going to look a little bit like a tree with a talking brain on top of it,
I certainly
Which
hope
connects.
So. I certainly hope so. I mean, this Christmas, I'm asking Bryn to not put our Santa on top, and I'm going to put a brain on top of the tree.
A half pound of ground beef,
just like with some lights in it to make it look like it's lighting
like
up.
Poke your finger in it to give it a little mouth.
Anyway,
give it a cartoon bubble that says non-existent.
There you go.
Oh, gross. You're going to have to bag it so it doesn't start to smell.
No, I'll just seal it with like some silicone or like
there you go, hairspray.
Something to like seal it, encapsulate it. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Carl, smoking, drinking coffee, staring silently up at the trees, enjoying the sights and sounds of nature. He also enjoys a grin and a laugh at a mother chasing her child down the park path. We cut very quickly back to Richard, and I think we can all see where this is going. As a friendly, was it a bus driver or was it a dump truck? I forget. But anyway, a friendly driver allows the mother and child to make their way across the four-way stop crosswalk. An impatient Richard illegally cuts into the other lane and mows the kid down as he crosses. The mother screams in agony and cradles her fallen son as dozens of townspeople look on in horror. As Richard speeds away from the scene, he passes Miriam standing on the corner, and the two lock eyes briefly. The commotion catches Carl's attention, and as he comes to the street to observe, he sees a shimmering golden mist rise up from the boy's body, dissipating as it passes through the power lines up into the sky. He walks over to the mother and puts a comforting hand on her shoulder, offering no words but staring silently and sadly into her eyes. The shot moves up the length of a utility pole, focusing on the transformer at the top as we hear the electric buzzing / crackling before a slow fade to black.
I just want to say that the speed at which he hit that kid, he would not be in the intersection still. That was such a violent hit. Like that kid should have been either still on the truck or somewhere else. Anyway, that aside,
from a Mythbusters perspective,
That kid was
Yeah.
maybe in pieces too.
Kid
Like,
in the intersection, but yeah, no, the damage was not as extensive as it should have been, and it was extensive enough.
But I mean, yeah, this scene is. Oh yeah, okay, go ahead, break it down.
I just want to say from the top that I have a really hard time with scenes of violence against children in particular. Like Dr. Sleep. If you've seen Dr. Sleep, some ugly stuff in that. The actor is like Jacob Tremblay, who's pretty famous child actor. Apparently, it was something he bounced right back up from after the take, but watching it was just genuinely upsetting. Or did you watch the new version of It? The Machete version of It? That's also some pretty graphic child violence that I had a really hard time with.
I don't watch a lot of these type of movies, so I can't really say I have much child violence experience. I mean, I'm sure I've seen movies with child violence in them, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm not for child violence. Like, yeah.
No. But yeah, it's hard for any of it to seem as anything more than gratuitous. I mean, I don't ever see a necessity for showing this flagrantly.
I'm trying to think like things. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've seen things. It's not anything I need to like describe or tell. But like, yeah, it's. But unfortunately, I did find this scene rather comical. There's definitely scenes I've seen. There's definitely scenes I've seen where I like that's rough, and I don't ever want to experience that again. But like this, the way it was handled, like it just was hard. It's hard to watch. I mean, I get it being a difficult thing to watch, like technically, like the idea of it, but the execution of it was just incredibly comical, and it just like so that part of it.
Well, because of these scenes of the townspeople looking on. Pretty obvious that these were not professional actors. These were locals who just showed up and got paid to look in a particular direction and look sad. Look sad, everybody. Look sad. Okay, it's ugly right now. Everybody needs to be looking very sad.
Well, not only that, but I think there would be more bustle. I think more people would be on phones, and more people would be calling, and more people would be like yelling and screaming and crying, and I think and
everybody seemed very paralyzed and very.
Well, it all seems very staged.
Just spun into an action. It was
staged. It just. I want this to look this way. I don't want it to be real. Basically, it's like because like I don't think this is how it would be. It'd be worse, obviously. And that's fine. You want to showcase that, maybe. So, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like the interaction between Carl and the mother saves this scene, really. But it's just, it doesn't do much other than to serve as further establishing Richard. I mean, and this isn't even something he does intentionally. Like, he does plenty of terrible shit intentionally, as we've already seen. But, like, this was just an inconvenience to him. And it's just,
But is this important for the growth of the Harry Dean Stanton character? Or is this just a one-off thing that we're never going to return to?
Boy, I don't have the answer to that off the top of my head.
Then, like, it seems almost...
I honestly don't recall.
Then it might be almost pointless. If it was important for the growth of his character to see that happening in the future down the road, then I can see this scene being important. But if it doesn't play into that, then I feel like this is just it's just a weird choice, ultimately. But I guess we'll find out. If you don't remember, I guess we'll find out and see.
I mean, there's definitely some stuff about this scene I remember that becomes important later. I don't know how much of it relates to Carl.
Oh, just like framing him by the cops and getting him like the fact that like the one they all saw him and like he can be arrested for it or something. Like I get that maybe like he did a crime that he ran from. I could see that being No, there's something else. I mean, whatever. Okay.
Let's not spoil
Okay.
anything further.
Let's not spoil it for me or you.
Yeah, because there's plenty that I don't remember about this show. So,
but I guess there's things that you could have had him do that were bad that he could have been. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty. We'll find out later. Let's head back to Las Vegas and Mr. Todd's office. Remember him from part 2?
Didn't know he was in Vegas,
he's
actually.
typing away in his... I thought we established that.
I thought it was very vague that he was in an office in the dark. It was dark, and that person came in, but I don't think it really established whether he was in Vegas. It just seemed like he was in a city. So now he's in Vegas.
Well, I mean, at this point, we definitely get an exterior of Vegas before we get to the shot of his office. So if we didn't know that, we know now that he's in Vegas. But anyway, he's typing away on his Lenovo ThinkPad. Nice little product placement there.
I have one of those.
When the center of his screen is filled with a large red square. Looking alarmed, he heads to another desk where he opens a safe and retrieves a white envelope with a single black dot on the front, which he handles only with a cloth, giving it an uncomfortable stare before returning to work. We get a brief scene of law enforcement collecting evidence at the scene of the car bombing in Rancho Rosa. This includes retrieving the license plate from the roof of the squatter's den across the street. The drugged out mother inside helpfully yells 119 a couple more times for us before we move on. Now we're at a crummy looking motel where a bald dwarf is drinking bullet bourbon and rolling dice at a desk, keeping track of the results of each roll in a small notebook.
Also, the beginning of our first crazy music cue.
Yeah. Blunted beats. Unexpected. Very interesting theme for this character. As
quickly as it comes, it goes, too. It's just such a weird fucking...
Yeah, it's just... Pacing-wise, it's like...
What is this?
Like, is this how he hears it in his head?
Or is it just him erratic? Yeah. He's just erratic. He's like ADD or something, ADHD or something. I don't know.
I mean, there's definitely a little bit of that.
there's definitely a bit of that. He's a little guy. Anyway.
He is. Could be a complex involved there. Someone slips something under his door, returning to that motif. It's that same envelope that we just saw Mr. Todd trying desperately not to leave his fingerprints on. The dwarf opens it to find 2 photos, one of whom is Dougie Jones. The other is the handler who sent the 2 car bomb planting, rifle wielding hitmen after Dougie. The dwarf takes an ice pick from the desk in front of him and gently traces the facial features on both of the photographs before giving each of them a violent stab as the music abruptly cuts out. So what did you think watching this scene?
What did I think, Gabe? I'll try to be positive.
Did it intrigue you?
No, it didn't intrigue me. This is just trying to be one of those I guess edgy hitman scenes maybe, or it's just kind of goofy. I didn't even think it was particularly shot very well. Like, they tried to do this whole mirror reflection thing, but I feel like it was not done very well. I don't know. I just felt like it was very mediocre. It was fine. I didn't like it. I didn't like it, Gabe.
That's fair.
I would have done something different. I would have done something like. It's funny that we have David Lynch doing some incredibly David Lynch things, and then you have these scenes that are just very milquetoast. And it's just like, man, I could have thought of a million different ways to do this. Like, why is it just this? Anyway. That's what I thought.
Anyway.
Lazy and not exciting.
That's, hey. No,
I guess
totally
the music cue was supposed to send us off and be like, "Oh wow!" But anyway, that didn't happen.
I mean, it definitely caught our attention one way or the other.
What do you think of this scene?
I mean, it's like any of the other scenes that have no explanation. That's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh, I think we know what's going on.
I mean, we know part of what's going on, but I'm like, who the fuck is this guy and why is he involved? You know?
So, like, why not, like Die Hard 2? Why not
I mean, aside from that, my only other thought was he's got good taste in bourbon.
Oh, yeah, I did. I did actually think that. But, like, that wasn't even... Anyway. Like, why not go back to Die Hard 2? Where the guy in the beginning, the bad guy, is doing yoga or jiu-jitsu naked. Like, let's have this little guy do something weird, really weird. Like
I'm keeping track of every single die roll in a notebook wasn't weird enough.
I don't think so. I mean, it's weird, but it's not like, who cares?
That was OCD kind of weird. Like that was.
I don't know. Anyway, it's like, okay, this guy's is weird. And he's gonna kill him, or he's gonna try to kill him. I don't know, but whatever. It's just that's all the information we were relayed. That. There's this dude. He's gonna kill these dudes. And it's just like, okay, but we don't know how really weird he is until you see how actually violently weird he is later. And it's just like, wow, we should have maybe shown us something. I mean, I guess that is supposed to clue us in, but it's just like so lazy, and I don't know. What did I say last week? Hacky? Anyway.
Yeah, you said that one a lot last week. Let's go back to the office with Dougie, who looks way better today in Cooper's suit now that it's been laundered.
Let's be honest, he is Cooper. He's not Dougie. He's pretending to be Dougie. Let's be honest.
There's
fact.
We're going to call him Dougie until he's full Cooper.
I'm going to call him Infant Cooper. In my head.
You can call him what you like.
Baby Coop.
Baby Coop.
Baby Coop.
I don't think it's Baby Coop so much as it's like Coop like pushing through this foam of this doll that he's trapped in. Like
Russian doll Coop.
Metaphysical. Yeah, there's this metaphysical stuffing that he has to fight his way through to gain control or whatever. That's just kind of how I see it, as he's swimming against the tide.
I'm surprised he's not shitting in his pants because he is a baby. Like why?
I mean, he knows how to hold it long enough for...
No more pee scenes this week? Anyway.
Not this week. I mean, you can tell he learns.
Yes. No, exactly.
He does retain information.
What's important.
Because
that's what's important, and that's why I wish this process would speed up a little bit, so we could see that speed up process, and then see him get a little more watered down too. Like the goodness gets dirtied. I mean, I get what Lynch is trying to do here, but I think it should happen a little quicker. Right? We're 6 episodes in. Anyway, continue, Gabe.
Yeah. I was starting to have those same thoughts at about this point.
Okay. No, we'll get it. I mean,
in episode 6, trust me, there was a lot of impatience for everybody wants full Cooper back.
Let's see. There's 20 episodes? How many episodes are there? 18?
18 episodes.
18 episodes. So we have we should almost be done with the first act of the film. If this is truly one giant film, if we're one giant film, we should almost be done with Act 1, and the lead character needs to make a turn. That's what I think in my head. Like, if Gabe is honest, truthful, then we have been I said almost said suffering. I'm sorry.
If I'm honest.
But we're getting close to the end of the first act. The character should have some kind of turn
in that regard.
There should be some kind of turn though with the character at the end of the first act.
If you don't see this as an 18-hour film at the end, don't blame me. That's what Lynch and Frost said, okay?
Oh, so they're liars.
That's not me lying.
Well, you've been telling me this the entire,
I am told what I have learned.
I'm just going to say it's 18 episodes of a television show. Carry on, my friend.
I'm going to say this isn't a film where you could consider there to be a lead character.
Oh, no, this is definitely a lead character. I mean, Cooper is definitely the lead character.
You can think that.
You don't think
is
that?
He?
I mean, well,
him playing which Cooper?
Well, but that doesn't matter. He's definitely playing the lead character of the multiple Coopers. That's definitely him. It's definitely this whole story is definitely centered around him and those multiple versions of him. So
let's not forget though that in Fire Walk with Me, a lot of the stuff that was supposed to be for Cooper was instead delegated to Agent Chester Desmond because Kyle MacLachlan did not want to spend too much time as Cooper.
If Chris Isaac pops up in this, I mean, sure, let's rock and roll. Carry on, Gabe.
Well, don't get your hopes up.
See, then.
Phil once again has to drag Dougie out of the elevator and also has to push him into Bushnell's office when his presence is demanded by the boss first thing.
What I didn't think about this elevator joke was I wasn't quite sure what the elevator joke was about because like he had done this before, so I just assumed it was just he was just so enamored with the coffee. That was my like only thing.
Oh, yeah, because he was smiling this time.
He was just so happy because
like he was enjoying himself.
He had his own coffee.
Right. This one coffee had his name on it.
And then he walked out, and then he took a sip, and then the doors closed on him, and it's just like he's still kind of but I just took it as like, why is he doing it? And I just took it as like
the coffee was the only thing that
he was just so happy that he had coffee, and it's like that's fine, that's funny. I found that funny. So I wish it was a little more pronounced, but that's my built-in belief of what that scene is anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tony Sinclair looks on with obvious trepidation between the blinds of his own office window. A frustrated Bushnell wonders aloud how he's going to make sense of Dougie's childish scribbles while Dougie sips his coffee and stares at Bud's boxing poster behind him. Bushnell plods on anyway, opening file after file, and eventually the look on his face begins to change from annoyance to astonishment, as some of Dougie's childish scribbles do indeed appear to make some sense, leading him to draw some important but silent conclusions. He thanks Dougie and asks him to keep quiet about the situation, but says he may need his help again in the future. Bud then offers a handshake, which Dougie almost gets the hang of before he totally fucks it up, to Bud's great amusement. A quick shot of some happy living children at play in a park.
Oh, wait.
Before,
wait.
Did you have something to say about this ridiculous scene?
No, but here's something interesting about Lynch.
Okay.
In this scene.
Yeah.
So I feel like in most films and any kind of edit, not films, television, whatever, this is an astonishing act and a revelation of information to a superior that in most stories and cases would be a crescendo and an act of like revelation and like it would propel the character forward in goodwill. Like it's like, oh, she's really good at the job. Man, she should work here or he does have superpowers and he can do the job. It's like, but Lynch handles it as like, nah, it's just a thing, shitty handshake and move on. And it's just like the standards of like formulaic storytelling are just like thrown out the window because like you would be like you would think it's a big deal that he obviously whatever he just did here was maybe I don't know. It's just to me it's
He
just
said
kind
to
of
keep quiet about
funny.
it for now.
It's funny.
I don't know why you think this is the last of it.
I don't think it's the last of it, but everyone kind of thought he was it's like that thing, like everyone thinks he's a joke and not capable, and then he does this thing, and then it's like, oh, like he was already. It's just, it's just the kind of the one first thing that kind of ran through my head is like, oh yeah, most of the time people would be like, but anyway. But I guess we got to drag this out over 18 episodes. So yes, you are right.
We've got a lot of hours.
Really, decompress this storytelling.
Point we have to drive home.
We gotta hey Bendis, how much longer do you think we should just keep talking about this? It's like, oh, like another 2-3 episodes, 3 issues. Yeah, let's just keep going. I was like, okay, click. Suck it, Bendis. Anyway.
So as we were saying, quick shot of some happy living children at play in a park. No psychopaths with trucks anywhere nearby. Before we see Janey-E on a picnic bench, red purse in hand. She is approached by a couple of seedy-looking individuals who let her know that Dougie lost a $20,000 football bet. With accrued interest, his debt has now accumulated to $52,000.
I'm going to pause for a second. I think it's fun because she knows how much money he won.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how aggressive she is about all of this. Because I think she's also playing the game right now. I mean, she was playing the game before.
For sure.
It's just fun
what
because
did they win?
It's like
450,
yeah, something wild like that. It's like she's clearly playing the game. Like, we don't have that. We don't. How am I going to make that? How can he? And all this stuff is like. That was also running through my head during the previous scene when she was on the phone, and then this is man, she's just. Yeah, she's also
right because Dougie would have caved 100%.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Dougie would have given them the 52,000.
No, but it's just it is kind of fun to see her kind of unhinged and just be weird here, and you're right, earlier, but I still think she's just 100% overacting a bit. But I think she's having fun, and I think that's all that matters. So
yeah, and I think the audience is having fun watching her.
Oh sure,
which also matters. So anyway, yes, Janey-E delivers a furious and fantastic speech about the struggles of the working class and the predatory nature of lending before she pays off the loan sharks with $25,000, the original debt plus a, quote, generous 25% interest rate, which they accept without argument. Tough dame, the two remark as Janey-E departs. I did like how she just subdued them with nothing but words.
Oh, yeah.
And she shoved a giant wad of cash in their hand, and they're just like,
I also loved how just perfectly round and rubber banded it was in her hand. Just like this.
Yeah, it's just like this.
Who does that? Usually it's a stack and it's kind of here, or it's, anyway, it's just kind of funny, this round, perfectly round.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was fun.
Like a Chinese star, kind of Fibonacci spiral kind of thing going on. So this shot that we go into now, I thought this was the cool shot. This is the door to the handler's office. Let's just call her Lorraine because that's her name in the credits. But I like the way it was framed, how her door, you can just see her in the sliver of the door, all the way to the camera left, where we can get the full-on shot of the big surprise. She's on the phone when she hears a scream from down the hall, and the dwarf comes running around the corner, bearing his bloodied ice-pick. He chases Lorraine down and violently stabs her with the ice-pick repeatedly, both of them screaming at the top of their lungs all the while. The dwarf looks over his shoulder to see a witness in the hallway. He chases her down too, and after hearing more screaming and commotion off screen, eventually the dwarf walks back around the corner alone, and he is heartbroken to find that he has badly bent the tip of the ice pick.
Okay, I have some comments on the first kill that are maybe aggressive, maybe gross.
It was gratuitous.
It is very gratuitous, but it's weird because so he attacks her and she falls down into this corner area, but you never see him. You just see her and blood and blood and blood, and it's almost like she's being fucked, basically, except she's being murdered. And it just goes on and on and on.
It does go on way too long.
I almost feel like they cut away and then come back, and on and on. It's a very weird scene, and what does that get us? Like, we just need to know she's dead. Like, why do we need to have her so violently just attacked? Because then he goes and he chases other, and that's completely off screen. You just hear some clanging and stuff, which is fine.
Yeah, we're not even sure if she got killed. Maybe she got away.
Exactly.
I like to think she got away.
Sure, it's like we're gonna do an extreme this way and an extreme that way, but it's just wild. It's weird and bizarre, and I don't think I've ever seen but I've never seen anything with Lynch. I'm trying to think of like Lynch weird shit and I don't think I've ever actually seen that kind of. Like, I think this show has been the most gratuitous murder shit I've ever seen of his. Like, with the murder of the people having sex. This,
Daria.
Like, he's really obsessed with the. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Anyway, bizarre, weird. I don't know. What do you say about it?
It seems. Yeah, I agree with you. It feels more than unnecessary. It does feel like it's almost glorifying it in a way.
Like he's trying to send a message. Like it's not but it's not like the dude's trying to send a message to someone, is he? I don't even know if that's gonna happen. Like it's like I get it in like a mob thing where you're sending a message to the other side, but like, who's he sending a message to? Like, I don't know. It's just wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only message you get here is that if you fail Mr. C, then you get killed. Yeah, there's just like there's this self-terminating chain of like wiping out everybody who's involved with him. I feel like is what we're leading to. But yeah, I just like the only explanation or the only reasoning I can come up with that we would dwell on Lorraine's death is that she's technically a villain. Like the impression we get is that she's not a good person. She's contracting out hitmen and she's just kind of involved in crime in general. So maybe like leading a violent life results in a violent death is the only kind of lesson we're trying to teach here. Although we don't necessarily see a lot of her sins.
I mean, it's brutal. Her death scene is brutal. For them. Like she's getting pushed. You hear You hear this weird, and you hear this, like it's just really aggressively like it's like, do I need to be really experiencing this right now? Like, why does Lynch want me to feel like I'm murdering her? Like, that's basically that's the point of view. Like, we're the guy or lady or whoever, the murderer, over the top of her, like doing this to her. And it's just like, is that important? Like, is that why I'm like, do I need to be feeling that right now? Is like, that's the POV we need to be experiencing? It's just like really aggressive. And it's funny. This show is just, its tone is just tonally all over the place. Just like more so than like standard Lynch films. This show, I would say even the original Twin Peaks, tonally, this show is just everywhere. It's just like, it's, I got to finish it to really see if it makes sense or that's on purpose, but it's like totally, it's just like wild. Anyway.
Yeah. It is definitely all over the place. No argument from me. In a field with a couple of abandoned cars, Richard Horn pulls up in the flatbed truck that he just committed vehicular homicide with, parking underneath some crackling power lines that you can see in the reflection of the windshield. He gets out and makes a half-assed attempt to clean off the blood from the front grill with some bottled water and an old rag. Not much to add or discuss about
There was
that.
a cool looking sporty, maybe Mustang yellow in the background in the far deep.
Oh, the yellow car. Yeah,
Maybe we
I don't
could
know.
have, maybe Dave and I could have rescued it and turned it into something cool. Anyway,
Might still be there. Who knows?
true that.
In the bathroom at the Twin Peaks Sheriff Station, our old pal Hawk has just finished washing his hands. So probably just finished shitting too. And he reaches into his pocket.
Why didn't we
a
get the
coin pops
POV
out.
of Hawk shitting? Come on, Lynch.
Grunts.
Just anyway.
Blood on the toilet paper as he wipes.
Anyway. That's fucking weird. I'm sorry.
A coin pops out and rolls back toward the back corner of the toilet stall. When Hawk reaches down to retrieve it, he sees that it's a buffalo head nickel with the profile of a Native American on one side. His tracker sense is activated. Hawk examines his surroundings and sees a small plaque on the bottom of the stall door for Nez Perce Manufacturing, also bearing another Native American profile. His gaze travels to the top right corner of the door, where he sees that there are a couple of bolts missing, and the inner panel has been pried apart slightly. Returning later with some tools, he sets to work, prying the rest of the panel off of the door, only briefly interrupted by Chad the Jackass, who threatens to tell the sheriff on Hawk as he leaves.
I love Chad.
Hawk of it. You love Chad. Oh.
He's a good actor. Dude's good.
The dude's a good actor, I won't lie. He's good at what he does. Hawk eventually finds what he's looking for, a few small yellowed pages with some handwriting on them. What could those be, I wonder? Do you have a theory?
What those pages could be?
Mm-hmm. Anything you can think of from the original series that had missing pages?
I mean, the diary.
The diary. In the dispatch room.
But who would have
Sheriff
put it in
Frank,
the police? In the. That's weird.
there are any number of people who visited the police station. I mean, Leland, being an attorney, could have been there 2-3 times a week. So I think it was pretty clearly established in the either the original series or Fire Walk With Me that it was probably Leland who took those pages because they implicated him.
And he does show up in this
that was the
series,
impression.
So maybe that makes sense.
Well,
I mean,
is that Leland?
But he kind of shows up just to kind of like, hey, remember me?
Yeah, save Laura. So yeah, we'll see what information those pages have for us down the line. That's something we're not going to just drop, I promise. In the dispatch room, Sheriff Frank is conversing with his deputies when Doris storms in, having a full-blown panic attack over the faulty repairs to her father's car. Frank gently tries to guide her down the hall as she continues her meltdown, while the rest of the team look on with varying expressions. Maggie, the operator, defends Doris from Chad's smartass remarks, saying that she wasn't like this before her son's suicide, which Chad then crudely informs us came about as a result of PTSD from military service. We all share Maggie's disgust as she turns back to her job, realizing that she's wasting her time with a creature like Chad.
Indeed.
Sharon Van Etten performs this week's show closing concert at the Roadhouse. She and her band play her song Tarifa as the credits roll.
I just think it's wild that in the police, like this weird random back room of the Twin Peaks police station, has all these dudes just kind of sitting around, and then this one woman actually working. Like, what is that about? Like, I find it incredibly.
I mean, I'm
wild.
sure I know there's plenty of desk work that police officers do. So
okay? So there's the Chad, and there's the woman. Who's the other dude? Like the kid. This is kind
of. The other deputy has a name. Yeah, the one that announced that Wally Brando had arrived. He's got a name in the credits
at the end because they kind of.
Yeah, we don't even know what he's looking at from his perspective.
And he kind of also looks like
staring thoughtfully off into space.
But he also vaguely looks like the cocaine kid, Richard.
Richard?
Yeah, he looks not. He has some similar features. Obviously,
they both have blue eyes and the thin nose, I guess.
They don't really go there. Obviously, they're probably not going to go there because you're like, huh? But he does have this weird similar look, which it'd be funny if they did go there. But also, I find it funny that Bobby's never around in these police scenes. Anyway.
You haven't seen the last of Bobby.
I know, but it seems funny. Like, Bobby's like a day player. He comes in and
no Andy or Lucy this week either.
Thank God.
And I think this
Jesus.
Is this the first episode with no Mr. C at all, or was he not in last week's episode either?
No, he was in.
I think he made
that. He was in last week's episode.
Oh,
yeah,
go
to the prison, jail. Yeah, no, this is the first week he wasn't in it.
Yeah. So yeah, no movement on that front, which is kind of strange.
The song's pretty cool and haunting, kind of classic Lynch, kind of vibe.
Very fitting with the rest of what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, what did you learn? Like, did you feel like you learned anything going forward about the plot this week? Like, what's new information to you here that has you wondering, like, what comes next?
I don't new?
Yeah.
No, I don't think there was really. Listen, we have, Janey-E paid off the debt, which we were been waiting for to happen. Like that was a thing that was announced. And it finally happened. I guess. I mean, it's not a revelation, but we don't know what the revelation is about the shit that Infant Cooper figured out with the files. So we don't know how that plays out. I think that's probably the biggest question I have, like how it plays forward. And then like, I don't know. It's like a lot of it just seemed very, I mean, obviously there's the weird drug deal or whatever it was that did or didn't go down, or like how that's going to play out. But like, I mean, that's still in a very hazy state to begin with. I mean, obviously we brought those two characters together. Still doesn't really define where that's fucking going. So that didn't really answer anything. It brought them together, the Balthazar Getty.
Yeah.
It didn't really...
Just kind of establish that they're both bad people.
And they're in cahoots, kind of, somehow.
Well, they're business partners.
Sure. Yeah, I don't... Diane, how is that going to play into this? But it doesn't really... It didn't answer. It just... This is more questions, Gabe, honestly.
Yeah, we'll be asking questions for pretty much every episode from here on out. Some of those questions will be answered. Not all of them.
Most of them won't be, is what you're saying. Like, we won't even get a good resolution to this.
I wouldn't even say most. Oh.
We'll get a resolution, not the one you're
I can't even say that I agree with that assessment. I mean, I
Oh, we're not
just
even gonna get. I would just like Cooper to return and like
resolution is a
visit Twin
tricky word.
Peaks one last time. That's all. That's all I care about. All I care about is Cooper coming back and returning to Twin Peaks one last time. That's my hope.
It would be a pretty crappy sequel if that didn't happen, wouldn't it?
Oh, well, I like the wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but it could be a crappy.
I mean,
wait. It's got to be Cooper, not Infant C or Mr. C. It has to be proper Cooper. See, now we're getting into the weeds of like, we'll see, I guess. Anyway.
How do you define the two, really?
Listen, you know what? The other thing of it? What if, here's the other thing. What if Mr. C and Infant C merged together are the proper C?
You know, that's a theory many people have touched on as well.
Well, I'm glad I
pulled it
out of my ass right now.
There's evidence to support it. There's also evidence to contradict it.
Well, that's fine. I don't really.
But yeah, I mean, there's like not only Mr. C but Dougie as well are all like just splintered aspects of Cooper. Like not any one of them can necessarily contain every aspect of him. So
okay, but my
only
understanding
true
is Dougie
Cooper
was
can
created.
do that.
Well, that's the other thing. He can't be created, right? Maybe she
Created out of what?
No, but I don't. Whatever. You're right. I don't know.
Like what parts came together to make Dougie?
Brain tree. I don't know.
Right? Did they grow him on some metaphysical plane?
They must have. I always took Dougie as Mr. C's trap. The unfortunate problem with that,
right?
That
and I don't think anybody would disagree with you.
But Mr. C obviously couldn't do that because obviously Dougie and Janey-E have been together for a while to have a son. So like, unless he created him before they met, and they got married, and then they created the son. I guess that's possible. That's
yeah. I mean, the intention was always for Dougie to be the trap, and then for Dougie to be murdered.
So then,
because Dougie was wearing the ring,
right? Then Mr. C totally created this clone. Somehow, I don't know. Who cares how? Doesn't matter. Not important. And then somehow fell in love with this woman because he's somehow some kind of crazy womanizer. I mean, Cooper's always been good with ladies, so whether he's a bad guy or a good guy, I mean, he's been pretty, talented with the ladies. Has a kid.
Clearly.
Then he's the trap for Coop. Coop somehow comes into him, changing it all up. He just has to, he's basically in this, weird body. He just has to, obviously wake up like the guy says.
Like Philip says. See, this is the weird thing to me. Is Lynch has obviously paid a lot of careful attention to the names in the credits. So why in the credits is the one-armed man referred to as Philip Gerard? Because Philip Gerard was the real-life man outside of the lodge. The person inside of the lodge was Mike. So, are there two halves of the same coin? Like Mike is the bad version and Philip is the good version?
But didn't Mike and / Philip had two sides to him in Twin Peaks, right? Under the medication?
Right. Philip became Mike. Or Mike's personality came through Philip. Yeah, because we never, Bob as a spirit would possess other people. But Mike and Philip have never been separate entities. Mike didn't possess other people in the world, and the body that Mike has in the lodge is the same body that Mike has in the real world.
But
so how
well,
it's
okay,
weird how.
But then at the same. Oh.
See, here's another question.
We never get Mike back. In this
He's
series.
always in the credits as Philip.
But we never get okay. So
he's
we never
get
Mike back. So we killed Mike in the original series somehow.
I mean, he's listed as Mike and Philip in Fire Walk with Me. Like the scenes in the lodge where he wants the Garmin Boja or whatever, then he's Mike.
You know, Gabe, there's also the chance that, the writers sometimes just hope you just don't catch it. Like it's a comic book.
They hope you just spend the next 30 years trying to
listen.
Yeah, just discussing it endlessly and creating entire podcasts around it.
We just had to move away from a certain thing, and we hope you don't catch it.
Right. Yeah. So here's the other thing that a lot of people touch on is were Bob and Mike human to begin with? And then did they do something at some point in the past that allowed them to fully take advantage of the lodge and become denizens of the lodge, which allowed them to transcend the physical realm and lotta. So is that their history? Is that how they came into being, or are they these elemental forces that are somehow assuming human shapes and forms in our interpretation from our senses?
But we can't really answer that because that's never really been given to us or designed for us.
No, it hasn't. It's something that we can only just kind of go over on our own head.
And my understanding is that Lynch has no interest in defining that for us in any way.
No.
So, yeah. God or Satan or angels, or demons, any of that stuff that we have no real grasp, that maybe if you have a faith background, you have a belief in, but that's as far as he wants to go into that. It's the same thing. It's this belief, and that's it. He doesn't really want to, he has no interest in defining that for you, and that's fine.
Right.
So
yeah, because then it just opens it up for discussion, and then it takes on a life of its own.
But it's also kind of lazy because you could create something that has a belief and more of a structure that has a pointed viewpoint, and he chooses not to do that. Which is fine. That's art. You do what you want with art. But there's definitely we're just gonna fall back on the faith belief thing, and it's that's okay, that's a thing. You could do that. That's
a thing. Yeah, but
he could speak to a bigger picture, but that would mean he would have to define a bigger picture, and I don't think he's really interested in that, and that's also fine. Both things can be true. That's fine. It doesn't. Art doesn't. You can have shitty art and good art, but they can both be the same. Both sides. Shitty art can be great art, and great art can be shitty art. Both things can be true. So,
because it's all subjective.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get inebriated. I did my best to not be drunk. Be focused this time.
Way better this week. Way better.
And then also pay into the fact that I'm going to not try to just shit bash this show. I'll try and bring informative information. So then Gabe was right that perhaps these episodes didn't have to be 2.5 hours long.
Well, and yeah.
Though I could see how some people would enjoy the conflictive nature of Ian just being an asshole for the entire episode.
Sure. Lots of people just like to watch the conflict, for sure. And I did my best to trim down the summary this week. I do feel like I was getting a little too detailed and like, I mean, it's hard to convey all the subtleties of each scene
Well, that's what I
with
hope that I'm picking up. Any of the subtleties I see or the weird things that I see, I hope that I bring up that you don't. Like I think we didn't really like while I said the thing about the envelope and that it shows up a lot of times, we didn't really talk about how at the dinner table, and then there's this envelope, and he's kind of quiet, and there's no name on it, and she just kind of looks it over, but they don't open it right then. And
they just kind of let it sit there.
And that is the thing that I love and that like makes my heart sing, because when we watch Lost Highway, it's gonna play heavy into. It's like, yes, there's an envelope outside that they bring inside, but the way they deal with the envelope is so silly and just awkward and stupid. Like,
right, like
that
if I saw an envelope right outside my door,
I would open it right there.
I would open it
right away.
This is the first thing I'd do.
No. Seriously, the director is saying
they went and had a sandwich.
Yeah. The director is saying, "Hey, don't open it." And this is like, and you're watching this film, and you're like, he's saying, "Don't open it right now." It's like, it's just funny to me, and I enjoy that. And then you're gonna love the scene in. This is a pay it forward to that film. Like the dialogue they have about the envelope is fucking, in my opinion, classic. And I guess we'll just have to wait for that. But so this is
a bit of a callback to that. Is what you're feeling.
This is me setting up a thing for Lost Highway. But like, yes, I mean the envelope does play a lot. Also sliding through the door. It's a lot of things. All this thing. But like in this certain episode with her at the table, it just really called back to the fact like, and this thing doesn't have a name on it, huh? And they don't even fucking address it. They just like, go talk to, get out of here. And it's like, it's just funny. It's just funny to me.
Yeah.
Anyway. I don't think I have anything else. I mean, it was a pretty clean episode. It just kind of went.
It felt like it moved along at a much faster clip than a lot of what we've seen before.
Sure did.
And I feel like that kind of like, that's part of the reason why my descriptions have been so verbose is just because it's these long lingering scenes that are all about absorbing the visual stuff. So it's hard to do a summary of that justice without just kind of rambling on about what it looks like. But in this case, there's a lot of good dialogue here. Janey-E's speech in particular, that, not worth me recapping that word for word. Really. That took up several minutes. Yeah, she does. She gets a lot of good meat to chew on in this episode. And
she's really the only one that can deliver it, in my opinion. Even in my opinion, if it's a little over the top and her just scene chewing. I mean, obviously Naomi is a very talented actress, and she can just chew the shit out of a scene. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's there's not much trivia here other than the fact that Sonny Jim is reading a Hardy Boys book. The Secret of the Old Mill.
What was the back? What was it? What was the original back Treehouse? What is the name of the original boys from Twin Peaks? They're the Backhouse Boys? Not Backhouse Boys.
Oh, the Bookhouse Boys.
It'd be funny if they changed the graphic to be a Bookhouse Boys book. I'd just been to nobody's chagrin, but it would just funny to print a fake cover and make it a Bookhouse Boys book. Right. That would have been hilarious, in my opinion. I would have
add that little extra connection.
I just would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
And no one would have noticed except the fucking nerds, and they would have been like, "Holy shit." I wouldn't have noticed right now. I didn't even notice it was a Hardy Boys book.
Yeah, nobody would have.
I mean,
some nerd did.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have looked that close, but some nerd did.
Some nerd would, and then it would be posted. But that's
it wouldn't be on IMDb if somebody didn't.
That's why it would be even better if like you took the extra moment just to print out a Bookhouse Boys cover. It would have been hilarious. Anyway.
Well, I mean, we saw that horribly photoshopped picture, the family picture with Andy and Lucy and Wally Brando.
I mean, they've done some weird, awful shit.
So
they could do some other
maybe
stuff.
they tried and it turned out really bad and they didn't want on camera.
Oh, man, whatever.
Always a possibility,
In the
I suppose.
poorly lit kid's bedroom where they're just kind of sitting, you barely would have known. It would have been fine. Anyway.
Except for the person who identified it as a Hardy Boys book.
There you go. Yeah, man, you could have like changed the photos. You could have had Dr. Jacoby shoveling dirt with his gold shovels. I don't know. It'd been funny. You could have made this whole funny thing that no one would have fucking picked up on. I would have gone that distance just to fuck around with people.
You would have thrown that Easter egg in.
The
Easter eggs in this episode.
Go ahead.
It is just a lot of the names that turn up in those case files that Dougie goes over are crew members. Art department, set designers, first assistant director, blah, blah, blah. That's all there really is to mention about that.
All right.
Also, the theory that Max von Sbarra is a reference to Max von Sydow, who was in David Lynch's version of Dune.
Yes. That's fair enough. What? When did he die?
Max von Sydow?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, mid-2000s, I want to say. Long before this went to film.
Okay.
The electricity pole in this episode bears the same numbers on it as the one from the Fat Trout trailer park scene in Fire Walk With Me.
Of course.
Probably because it's the same park. On how they made that work. All right, well, now that we're done with that trivia, we can take this link to Max von Sydow and find out when he died. Oh, it was pretty recently.
Was it?
It was March 8th, 2020.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't dead when this aired. Interesting.
No, he wasn't. Although there was clearly another part for him. But he was in France, and he died of undisclosed causes.
I did feel like he died more
Age
recently.
90.
Way back. I do feel like he died more recently.
Oh, I thought he died way longer ago than that. But yeah, age 90 in March 8th of 2020. I don't think it's any mystery what he died of.
Old fucking age?
Well, that was right when COVID hit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Old age not being able to stand up to COVID is what I was going to suggest.
Sure.
But that's a conspiracy theory.
What a conspiracy theorist you are.
One other thing I wanted to touch on, like my memory of the scene with Albert, like I don't remember him having the umbrella, and I don't remember him having the phone conversation in the car before.
Oh man, that phone
like my memory of the scene.
Long.
Yes, my memory of that scene is just him pulling up in the car, getting out without an umbrella, and like trying to shield himself from the rain. And then, like, getting to the sidewalk and then leaning up into the sky and, like, screaming, "Fuck you, Gene Kelly, you motherfucker!" And then just kind of, like, running off. So I don't know where I got that impression. Because this is, like, it's way, way more down-tuned than I remember it being.
I don't
like, he's got the umbrella and he just kind of mutters it under his breath.
I don't understand the Gene Kelly hate.
I always remember it. Singing in the Rain.
No, I know Singing in the Rain. Like, I don't understand the hate, though. Like, what? Why, Albert, why? Why you gotta hate on that? Why are you being so aggro on Gene Kelly? Like, I don't...
Right, yeah. We thought he was all about love, right?
Yeah, but he doesn't strike me as a I fucking hate Gene Kelly guy. I don't know.
No, but he hates the rain.
Yeah, but what the
And so if Gene Kelly loves the rain...
I don't think Gene Kelly loves
what kind
the
of
rain.
jackass sings in the rain?
Gene Kelly doesn't love the rain. He's just singing in it because it's... Anyway, he's happy at the moment in the film. Anyway, whatever. Like, I don't... Like
That's
David
the most
Lynch,
nitpicky shit I've ever...
David Lynch must really hate
He's misinterpreting the context.
David Lynch must really hate Gene Kelly and the musical Singing in the Rain to be like, fuck that film. Like, it's just... Like, what a wild choice. I don't know. Like, it'd be like, you know...
Maybe he just hates musicals in general.
I don't know. It's like, I don't... maybe. Why? I don't understand that. But, like, it's like getting out of a train and, like, it's snowing. It's like, fuck you, White Christmas! I don't know, you know? It's like...
No, it would be if he got it and it was snowing and it was Christmas and he said, fuck you, Bing Crosby.
No, but there's a fun thing where
fuck Bing Crosby, you motherfucker.
They're all so the image from White Christmas that always sticks in my head is they're all sitting around the table in the train and they go snow, 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 snow.
Yeah,
it's like hell, snow. Like, I don't know, like hell, you know, like I don't know. It's just like so dumb.
Goddamn
like,
baby snow.
It's just what a choice to like just really. I don't even think people love. Here's the other thing. A lot of people don't like musicals, and a lot of people don't like Singing in the Rain. So why choose to shit on this thing that no one watches anymore? That's fine. You don't like it, but if you watch it from a choreographed perspective and what it is, it's very entertaining. It's where you get something like Kung Fu Hustle or some of these other like more inventive things
for sure,
that are like way well choreographed. But to shit on something that no one watches anymore, it's such a wild choice. It's a wild choice in my opinion.
It's not exactly topical, is it?
Right? At this day and age?
But I don't know. I think anybody who was watching understood the reference, but
no,
maybe some 25-year-old who just discovered Twin Peaks last year isn't going to get it.
But I would even argue that back then no one was watching it. Back in the 90s, you were watching Singing in the Rain. I definitely wasn't.
No, but I do have to watch White Christmas every year.
Why? Why do you have to watch that?
Mother insists.
Oh, they love it. All right.
Yeah, it's her favorite.
I was never forced to watch any of that stuff. I watched Singing in the Rain on my own prerogative. Just
I wouldn't
I'm a
say
filmmaker.
she forced
I'm a cinema guy. It's a part of cinema history. I watched it, you know, and it's like, do I like all that kind of stuff? No, but like when I watch, it's like, wow, that's kind of cool though. The way it's all kind of tied together. I just don't understand the hate for it, so I don't get the scene. That's why I was watching it. I don't really get the scene. And I think that Albert had more class than that. So, like, I feel like it's kind of fucking his character a bit, in my opinion.
I don't think so. He doesn't seem like the type, to me, to, like, hold old Hollywood in reverence.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He just likes Commando and Predator. He's like,
yeah, I know. No. He's 100% not above taking the name of old Hollywood icons in vain.
You know, he's it's just Albert. He's just like, oh,
I'd buy that for $1.
Wait, wasn't he in Total Recall with Arnold? Yeah.
No, he was in RoboCop.
Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger's not in RoboCop.
No, but Miguel Ferrer is.
I know, but was he not in Total Recall? Well, he was in Total Recall.
He was not.
Was he not in Total Recall? Are you sure?
No, I am sure. Michael Ironsides was in Total Recall.
Yeah.
Miguel Ferrer was not. No.
Was he never in any Schwarzenegger film?
I couldn't honestly say that. He may have been in Commando. That's possible.
That's what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah, I don't. Either Commando, not Predator. Definitely not Predator. Commando's the only Schwarzenegger movie that I don't know, like, front to back from that era.
He was definitely not in Predator.
No.
was hoping he was.
But yeah, like
I guess it was never.
80s action stuff. Really, the only thing I remember him from was RoboCop.
I mean, he's in Revenge. That's 1990 though. Tony Scott classic.
Are you on his?
I was hoping to. Why is the Wikipedia not opening here? Oh, there it is. Let's see, Miguel. Are you not in classic? I don't remember him in Star Trek 3.
He was in Star Trek 3? What?
Yeah. He was USS Excelsior first officer. Is that wild?
That is pretty wild.
Yeah, I guess he's not.
What else we got here?
I guess he's not in any of those 80.
Oh, he was in an episode of Magnum P.I.
Yeah, but he's not in any Schwarzenegger films. All right. Never mind then. All right.
No, RoboCop was his first movie, wasn't it?
No.
Everything else. Oh no. Love Lines.
Love Lines, Flashpoint, Star Trek 3.
Flashpoint.
The Man Who Wasn't
right.
There. Heartbreaker.
Okay, right.
He's got a lot of shit.
Right. Okay, yeah.
But his most substantial role, I think, was RoboCop 3. That's what kind of broke him out.
For sure. RoboCop.
I mean,
not 3.
That's a
just
classic.
the original.
Him,
the OG.
You're right. Sorry. Him just doing coke off, whores' backs.
His ass. Yeah.
Is classic.
Ooh, he was in an episode of Hooperman.
I don't even know what that is.
That was John Ritter's cop show.
Oh, rest in peace, John Ritter.
I remember watching that when I was a kid. He was in Deep Star 6.
Yes, he was. Saw that.
Never seen that. I saw Leviathan instead. I want to see if I can find a copy of On the Air somewhere. I know we talked about this a little bit. This was Lynch and Frost's kind of like version of the Dick Van Dyke Show, essentially.
Huh. Interesting.
Or yeah, where it's like the actor who played Dick Tremaine, his name escapes me right now.
Oh, my favorite.
But like he's the host of the show, and then like the show focuses around the writers' room. But yeah, I don't know if that's streaming or on disc somewhere. Oh, that's right. He was in The Stand. The TV movie version of The Stand.
Who was?
Miguel Ferrer.
Oh, really? With Gary Sinise?
Yeah, he plays Lloyd. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
He plays Lloyd Henry, like the mini boss.
I think I started to watch that, and then I never finished it.
Some of it's okay. Oh, and he was in the TV movie version of The Shining as Jack Torrance's dad in flashbacks.
I didn't even know that existed.
The TV movie version of Justice League of America. Oh my God. The one from 97. He was Dr. Eno / the Weatherman. Oh, fuck. That would be amusing to see. I wonder where one can obtain a copy of that. Is that on YouTube somewhere?
Maybe. Probably.
Maybe that's worth dedicating an episode to.
Are we gonna watch the Corman Fantastic Four too? Like, what are you talking about here, buddy?
Yeah, that's a bit too much of a tangent, isn't it? Oh, let's see. He was Aquaman in the Superman animated series?
I hope so.
And also Weather Wizard. I mean, I know he wasn't Aquaman in Justice League Unlimited, so that's weird. 8 episodes of Jackie Chan adventures. Yeah, a lot of voiceover work here.
Oh, the
But,
first one?
good for him. He's got a distinctive voice. I remember him. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I remember him showing up in an episode of Robot Chicken playing Danny Ocean, which is hilarious because he's George Clooney's cousin.
That is funny. When did he pass away?
Miguel Ferrer.
Yeah.
After filming Twin Peaks, 2017, January of 2017. So before it aired.
Oh, wild.
Yeah.
What did he die of? Was he sick during the shooting?
Yeah, he had cancer.
Oh, okay.
Throat cancer. Lifelong smoker. Oh, and he was in Iron Man 3.
He was?
As Vice President. Yes, as Vice President Rodriguez.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, blink and you miss it.
And I've seen that movie like 2-3 times. So that's funny.
Yeah, that's not one that got a lot of replay.
I like it. Shane Black, baby.
It is Shane Black. I mean, I didn't dislike it. It had some fun twists to it.
Got the
But for whatever reason, it never stuck out.
Got the kid angle.
He does. Which animated universe is this? Oh no, this is Golden Age. Justice League, The New Frontier, animated feature that came out in 2008. He plays Martian Manhunter.
Oh, interesting. Fun.
And then, yeah, he had that long recurring role on Crossing Jordan that paid his bills for a while.
Oh, I remember that. I mean, I didn't watch that, but someone I know did.
Someone you know. Showed up as Vandal Savage in Young Justice. Yeah, he did a voice for Halo 2 as well. Oh, shit. And he was Deathstroke in the animated Teen Titans feature from 2017. He would have been pretty prominent there.
So he probably recorded that around the same time as Twin Peaks, just off.
Yeah, it would have been another one of his last roles. Because let's see, when did this come out? Oh yeah, this was also released after he died. April of 2017 was when that Teen Titans movie came out.
He's probably doing in between Twin Peaks, actually, just recording some stuff.
Yeah.
Sound boothing.
Maybe he had, I mean, as many of these voiceover credits as he has, he probably had like a home booth or something.
Sure. And, that doesn't, with how shit
That's
is
not
now,
hard to do in this day and age.
In this day and age, and how shit is nowadays, like you just record it, you send it off, and they clean it up so pristine that it,
Yeah. Which just needs to have a better internet connection than I do.
Which is what's wild about the actual scene in this show where he's on the phone with Gordon, and just how lazily the female voice is, because that those cartoons are working on a micro budget, and yet the sound is like impeccable. Just be so lazily like, we'll just cut and paste this female's voice in here. It's just like so lazy and like, work on it. Like, come on, fix it a little bit. It's so no, come on, Gabe. Don't fucking. In my opinion, they're just lazy as fuck. Like Lynch is a little bit lazy as fuck. Anyway,
I see it as cutting corners to spare expenses. Although I don't know how hard it would have been to have like a female actress on set with him while he did that line over a phone.
Listen, there's a lot. I mean, you know what? I don't even want to get
maybe they would have had to pay her union scale or something, and that's why.
All I'm saying is stupid. Fix it. Make it sound better. Anyway, it pulls. It literally pulled me out. Like, Are we listening to some AI chick talking right now? Like, what is happening right now? Like,
Yeah, not gonna lie, it did to me too.
it's like,
It kind of it takes you, yeah, as you
are
like,
we on a
what
third
the
line?
fuck was
Like,
that?
Anyway.
Anyway. Well,
All
yeah, I
right.
think that's all I
I
have
think,
for
yeah.
this week.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, kept it a little more concise, but
Deep dive into
also had
Miguel
some fun
Ferreira.
expanding on theories. Yeah,
You know,
this would have been a good week for me to have gone over some of those episodes of Behind the Curtain, but unfortunately, I didn't visit any of those.
whew.
So I'll try and get caught up on them for next week, and we'll see where we're at.
I'm just
I
kidding.
mean, for as much time as I spent watching them, I think I got like 5 minutes of shit worth to talk about.
I just
So,
want to say it's because of you. We went
a couple of
over.
cool onset
I
stories.
want to say it's because of you. We went over 2 hours. Like we were like sitting at an hour 45, and you just kept going on
Yeah,
about Miguel.
I didn't think that was long enough.
Oh my god!
I feel like right around 2 hours is good. Under 2 hours is too short. I feel like right around 2 hours is good.
Under 2 hours is fine. Also, no one cares. Actually, is what. Actually, I'm trying to. What I keep trying to tell Gabe is like,
Well, but
no one gives a shit. But
2.5 hours is fine as long as 2 hours of it isn't Ian complaining.
I don't know. I think people. I mean, I think if we had a cool email address that people could write to, they'd be like, "It's fine when Ian complains."
They could comment on YouTube if they wanted to say it that badly.
I think they just watch. Here's the thing. You know what?
They watch and they roll their eyes.
We throw our dick out and they swallow it and they'll take it at any length. You know, Gabe. That's what I like. That's just how it is. And for Blake is apart,
Christ.
I'm Ian. Anyway, that was a good episode.
And with that analogy, yeah, I think we'll call it a night. Yeah, like I said, we'll hash out the final new email address tonight, and we'll have that for you next week, just in case. Why not? It's fun. But in the meantime, we'll be plugging right along. Next week, let me look and see if we can do a preview. What's up for next week? Part 7.
Tonight's part was called Don't Die.
Tonight's part was called Don't Die. I'll spoil the name of next week's part. Next week's part is called There's a Body, All Right.
That's a body, all right.
Yeah. So I'm not,
creepy.
Honestly, I'm not going to spoil it for myself.
I wanted to ask you just really quickly, how much of this do you actually remember? When did you watch this?
I mean, I remember
last.
I watched it as it aired. I watched it one more time since then.
Was that like 2 years, 3 years ago?
Oh, it might have been as long as 5 years. I don't know if I've watched it since COVID. Yeah. If you want to use that as a measuring stick, I think maybe like
it pretty much
some point during lockdown might have
been
my
2 years after. I got you.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years after would have been my second viewing.
Old man is creeping in and you don't remember any of it.
Well, shit. When did I get that box set? I'd have to look and see when the box set came out. But that was my second viewing of The Return, was when I got the box set. Particularly for the ability to watch Part 8 in 4K. But we got a couple weeks before we get there, folks. So anyway, next week, Part 7, There's a Body, All Right. Join us live at 8 p.m., which will be Pacific Daylight Time next week. Jump ahead on Sunday, everybody. Join us on YouTube or join us whenever you feel like it. Plug it in your ear holes when you're on your bus listening to your podcasts. We're available anytime you want to check us out.
Gabe, I hope this was a more pleasant experience than last week.
It genuinely was, Ian, and I thank you for your effort in making it so. So, from all of us here to all of you out there in internet land, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let a smile be your umbrella, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Take care.
I love you, Gabe.
I love you too, Ian.